Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our last meeting of this year, and it's very nice to see new faces here. So let me quickly go through agenda. We will start our presentations. So then Arms from Qlik will share what's new in Qlik with us. Then Boon at 5:20 will talk about data management farm to table. Craig will share some insights about how they teach or get people up to speed with Qlik at Western Power. And then my colleague Eleonora Kabirova will share her insights as a person who's just started with Qlik, like just 5 months ago. So in this instance, Arms, it's over to you, and please welcome Arms.
Right.
We don't see you, but you will share your screen and we'll go from there.
Yep. First of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. All right, let me share my screen now. Yeah. And to just double check, you see the full screen, guys?
Yes.
Good. All right. Okay. So good afternoon or almost evening as well to you guys there. So my name's Armstrong Mejilla from Qlik. I do run the team of solution architects or pre-sales or solution engineers across Asia Pacific. I'm based out of Sydney, and I apologize I can't be there with you. I think I was there last year, Sergey. He was just giving me a hard time earlier that I did not make the trip this time, but you know, I'll try harder next year. But what I thought I'd do, and you know, Sergey and Satish, I think Satish is there, kind of asked me to kind of update you guys, you know, the user group and the community, what's going on in the world of Qlik, and there's so many things that I'm not sure I can fill everything, put everything into 20 minutes, but I'll try my best. But it's really more of an overview of what we've done this year, and you know, the latest releases and the things that we're working on for the next couple of more years. And I think I'll start with saying, especially for those of you who have been with Qlik for a long time, that I think we have successfully kind of supported many different personas, right, within the data organizations, you know, that you guys have, that we have across, you know, around the world and across Asia Pacific as well, that we have, you know, audiences and users from the data engineering and data architect background. For those of you who know that we have been kind of offering solutions around data integration and data quality. And that's really a combination of our solutions between, you know, we used to call QDI, which is, you know, part of the Attunity acquisition many years ago. And, you know, a little over a year ago, we merged with Talent, as you guys would have heard, right? But also, from an analytics standpoint, right, we support users from any skill level, right? You know, a lot of your users or your stakeholders would know that, you know, without pretty much, you know, technical background, you are able to use Qlik as a consumer, interacting with dashboards, charts, and analytics applications. And I think that's the idea in terms of where product management, R&D, and leadership in Qlik are going, is to kind of, you know, give enterprises and people who work with data around the world, in terms of, it could be simple or it could be the most complex environment, but really all the data and all the kind of users, but also, you know, a wide gamut of insights and capabilities around actioning on those insights is what we're trying to do. So this is a, you know, kind of high level mapping, if I may, of the end-to-end portfolio. So at the bottom will be, you know, our kind of, you know, not so legacy kind of client managed and hybrid products that a lot of the people around the world are familiar with, like, you know, Qlik Replicate, Qlik Sense Enterprise Client Managed, or, you know, for those of you who have been with us as well, those are the running in Windows platforms, and, you know, some of the add-on products like Endprinting and GeoAnalytics. But also, when we merge with Talent, they obviously have the on-premise products called Talent Data Fabric and Talent Data Catalog. you would have noticed that in the last few years that a lot of the advancements in kind of next gen capabilities is something that we always release in the cloud, which is Qlik Cloud, right? So what I'll do is I'll kind of divide the presentation the next 15 or so minutes in terms of what is Qlik Talent Cloud and what is Qlik Analytics, which is on the left side of the cloud part here in this picture is really the capabilities around data loading, data transformation, and data products catalog. And I'll go one by one with those at a high level to just give you an understanding if you're not familiar yet on what those are. And then I'll move on to analytics. So back in June, we always have that, we call it Qlik Connect, or back in the day when I joined, I've been with Qlik for almost 13 years. We used to call it Connections or Qlik World. We announced it's really our biggest customer and partner event that we held back in Orlando, Florida. We announced that we will release Qlik Talent Cloud, which is what you see here is really the first offering of the merger between the two technologies of Qlik data integration and Talent data fabric. Some of you may have heard that Talent had a product called Stitch back then, so it kind of merged all the connectivity options they had in Stitch and our own Qlik Cloud connectivity, and made sure that in terms of extracting data from cloud or SaaS sources, we have those. But also with a combination of the two technologies, we now support multi-pattern, and I'll explain that a little bit later in terms of ETL, ELT, or whatever's in between. And we support transformations. I'll talk about later what we mean by data products, but also connectivities around legacy systems like SAP, mainframes, and new school kind of data sources, or like vector databases, large language models that are inherent in hyperscalers like AWS, Snowflake, Databricks, and all that stuff. One last thing I'll mention here before I go to a little bit more detail is that when we merged with Talent, we inherited kind of an interesting practice or approach from them called the Trust Core for AI, which is at the moment today we're talking about is really much more of a framework. But then as we go along into kind of next year and later in 2025, we'll show you more capabilities of what that means. So now really Qlik Talent Cloud is available across all regions in Asia Pacific, right? Obviously, at your part of the world there in Western Australia, some of you may, if you're a Qlik Cloud customer, you may have stood up a Qlik Cloud tenant in Sydney in our AWS kind of data center there, or in Singapore as well. But a little bit more detail in that data movement and transformation. There's some color coding here, as you can see from the bottom right of this page. We're in Qlik Talent Cloud today. The first release of that, when we released this, I think back in August, if I'm not wrong, is full cloud extraction and loading using our data loader, really being able to ingest data from many different SaaS sources. Some of you may be customers of Qlik Replicate, which is the on-premise data replication change data capture technology that provides that CDC capability. And from an ELT standpoint, we used to call it QCDI, or Qlik Cloud Data Integration. With the merge of Qlik Talent Cloud, we're kind of providing that push-down transformation to your chosen cloud warehouse or lakehouse as well. But it's a combination of CDC, data loading, and smart data transformation. We still provide with Talent Data Fabric as a hybrid deployment, if that's what customer wants. We still provide that kind of hardcore ETL capabilities, and that kind of translates with CDC plus ETL. If that's something that you guys are planning to do or doing in your organization, or a little bit more edge use case called ETLT, right? We kind of combine ETL with a bit more data transformations at the back end of that pipeline, or also once you load that into a chosen warehouse, you can still transform that and put it into downstream systems, so to speak. I'll entertain questions towards the end, but I'll really just go quick firing on some of the topics I mentioned here. I'll switch gears a little bit in terms of data governance and data products, as I kind of alluded to earlier. But again, with the merge of those two technologies and the release of Qlik Talent Cloud, we've started very early days of what we call data product or data marketplace. But the idea really is to provide an environment of for data stewards to get inputs and take inputs from different kinds of sources or data within the enterprise and curate that, put it into a governed process. Maybe there's some data quality actions that needs to be done, but the idea is to put that into some sort of a reusable and more governed marketplace, if I may, that can be used by different kinds of users across the organization. And I think that data platform, data product, and data marketplace kind of discussions really evolve around the rise of the chief data officer, wherein there are multiple personas that work within that org, where there's a data product team, where, like I said, there will be the data stewards or the data governance team that provides and defines the policies for data quality issues and data quality guidelines. But will also be a platform team, like the engineers who actually work and maybe sometimes code some of these. But what we'll do, and I work with Sergey and Boon and the partners we have in Western Australia, is to provide more in-depth kind of demos and give. You may have seen this from Sergey or Boon as well, but this is also kind of early releases that we have in Qlik Talent Cloud called the data product marketplace. As kind of summarizing what we have on that left side of the earlier slide is really the idea is to provide organizations before they even go into AI projects or advanced analytics projects to make sure that they have a trusted data foundation, right? And that starts with creating AI-ready data sets. Obviously, that includes from left to right, building data pipelines, ingesting from different sources, as I mentioned earlier. From a talent data fabric perspective, we can have processing engines that could be deployed in a hybrid environment on the cloud or on premises, but also provide observability and kind of metadata and data lineage along the way. As you go to the right side of this kind of illustration, it's kind of talking about more data quality and API integration, wherein we have some advanced capabilities that we inherited in Talent in terms of orchestration and workflows, if I may. One example could be providing an enterprise service bus wherein there is a workflow between, say, Salesforce or MuleSoft and kind of taking data out of multiple SaaS data sets and kind of flowing that across the data pipeline. So some customers still use that, but the gist of this is to make sure that before we embark, our customers embark on a kind of AI or even generative AI journey, the idea is to have kind of enhanced data quality integration, data quality and data integration, and to help fine tune some of the large language models that may come downstream. So I think roughly about 10 minutes left or less, but really just to move on to the analytics side, which is really what we've been known for a long time. For those of you again who's with us, but Qlik Sense, I'm sure everyone in the room knows what that is. It's our flagship product for analytics. AutoML or automated machine learning is our kind of foray in terms of democratizing machine learning, and I'll talk about a little bit about Qlik Answers. But hopefully, a lot of people, if not all in the room, still remembers our associative engine. That still, in my opinion, still provides that differentiation in the market, wherein data enthusiasts can fully combine data and explore and search freely across all data sets. We've introduced what we call, the cognitive engine, wherein, some of you may be using the Insight Advisor chat, right, where it provides natural language to ask questions and generate charts and insights. And with the introduction of AutoML, maybe about 2.5 years ago, people without any data science background or training can also work with models and make predictions to understand what might happen and why. And I won't talk about the other parts here, but really that capabilities around application integration, and obviously this is all in the cloud, when all organizations can really scale seamlessly. But I'll do a couple more slides in terms of what this means. You can just read this. I don't want to go into all detail, but I've mentioned about natural language interaction with Qlik Sense before, and that's really Insight Advisor search, chat, and natural language generation. And a lot of research and a lot of R&D and product releases are really inside this part of the solution, if I may. And you'll see more and more, and we can dive deeper when we get there. I've mentioned about integrations with third-party predictive algorithms out there. You can see that on the screen, what we call data science integration. And also nowadays with the advent of Gen AI, we can actually broaden insight and context with our integration with OpenAI and Amazon Bedrock, and there will be more and more along these lines. Just before I round it up, you would also kind of be familiar that our APIs within Qlik Sense are very powerful, and that allows customers to customize and embed and extend analytics across, even our engine, our interfaces, our charts, and our user experiences. The full power of the associative engine can still be had there. So again, as a summary, in terms of being able to serve all types of users, they can be the technical crowd, they can be the non-technical or business crowd, but really the idea is for us to provide more and more augmented experiences to the users of the platform through natural language, Insight Advisor, automated authoring that was just released maybe a few months ago, advanced analytics with clustering, correlation, and all that kind of funky stuff. But again, towards the end, data science and GenAI integration. I'll take 1 or 2 more minutes to introduce, and you might have heard of this, right? That we've all been talking about structured data so far, and the study that we had is that 80% of the data in most organizations are unstructured, and only 70% that we talked to really realize that unstructured data. So when we acquired a company called Kindi back in January, and we announced that in June, we've just released Qlik Answers. This is this is live now in Qlik Cloud. It's really to be able to deliver consistent responses with full explainability. The idea really, if you look at the screenshot here, is that users, obviously you'll have to subscribe to it. And we can talk more about how that's licensed and how that's priced. But the idea is how you have a knowledge base based on documents of unstructured data. That could be PDFs, HTML documents, PowerPoint presentations, Word files, really open text, and then put that in the knowledge base and create an assistant quickly without technical training and have something like this, right? So the example that I have here is a sales assistant where we put all the documentation of Qlik that we can get from the website of help.qlik.com, and someone from our sales team will say, how does Qlik Answers differ from traditional search or maybe from Copilot or whatever? And based on that knowledge base that we control, that you control as a customer, as the owner of the tenant, there's attribution wherein, based on this PDF file, based on this manual, this is where we find the answer. So that's really kind of how straightforward it is. Other than that, I will stop here, Sergey. And,
okay, great.
And maybe any quick questions. Sorry, I'm a little bit over time.
Thank you, Arms. Any questions from the? No questions. That was a great overview of platform. Thank you, Arms. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No worries.
So,
Keep in touch, and I'll stay in for a few more minutes, Sergey. But
yes,
any
it's
questions,
quite
let me
late.
know.
It's quite late for you, I know. But let's have a round of applause for Arms. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So, and it's over to you, Boon. So you joined the meeting, okay? And now we'll my stuff. Yes, they should be able to hear. Yeah, share screen. Yeah, it will be used.
Use that audio.
In this case, maybe we will just share it from mine. Oh, you can share your screen.
Oh, yeah, the meeting.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
You can share your screen.
Yeah.
And just basically manage everything from your screen, but it will be all visible on hopefully. Yes, sharing. Yes, they can see everything. Good. Great.
I'll sit close to this for the audio recording.
Pardon me?
I'll sit close to this for the audio recording.
Yeah, it is audio recording it. Then you all people can hear you.
Okay.
Great. Good. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Boon from Boon Solutions. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about farm to table. I won't be able to cover everything in 10 minutes. So essentially, these are all the functionality that you get with Qlik and Qlik Talent Cloud, right? And the new buzzword is fabric and mesh. So we just go through a few of those, and specifically around data security, row level security, column level security, and role, ROLE, based access control. So RLS. So you've got RLS, which is row level, ROW, CLS, which is column level, and then RBAC, which is role-based access control, ROLE, right? So obviously, this is a much simplified diagram. We excluded data cataloging, lineage, and all of those. We just keep it simple for now. With CDC, what we normally do is we would, if you put in an entry in the database, only that record get transferred over to the data lake or data warehouse. Now, the good thing about this then, we can then go do data masking and filtering. So if I'm pushing information through personal information, I can then, as part of the process, mask the information. When it hits the lake, the information is actually masked in transit, not at the target. And with filtering, instead of having 3 years worth of 20 years worth of data, I will only want 3 years worth of data. Instead of having 300 columns, I only want 20 columns worth of data within the lake. So if you have a cloud database, Snowflake, Databricks, and that, you are now saving significant amount of cost because you're not moving every single row of data and every single column. Okay. Then when it comes to row level security and CLS and RBAC, let's just say using Power BI or Excel, you have a table called sales order. When I log on, I can only see WA. So at the database level, using my credentials, when I log onto the database and extract information, I can only see data for WA. And then someone else can see Queensland, that sort of thing. So that's the row level security. Column based, if I log on and start extracting HR information, I can't see salaries. You can. Okay. RBAC is just role based. We set up a group or a role and say, okay, this set of users can read the following information from that database. From there, you can set up your chatbots and all that to connect to the data mart or data warehouse to extract the information. So in summary, data masking with specifically personal information, text file number, date of birth, that sort of thing. Filtering, row level security. There are a few ways to do this. I will go through some of those. So you can achieve it through user-defined functions, security policies, or create database views. I personally don't like database views because let's just say SAP has 65,000 tables. How many views do you need to create, right? So we rather use security policies. And I think HANA, the last time I checked, was about close to 200K of tables, right? Column is the same thing, and then role base. This is an example of change data capture, which I just quickly whip up on our test SAP instance. I've made some changes I've changed a purchase order line, and these are only the changes that are coming through, as opposed to let's reload the whole data, right? So this is an example of data masking. So what we've done here, this is actually Qlik replicate on-premise. The cloud version works pretty much the same. So we said we want to replicate from the source to the target, and we are also manipulating that. In this instance, we're masking the information. That's the expression that we've used. And down here, that's actually the Qlik table that's being anonymized, right? So from there, you can connect a chatbot to it, and the chatbot will only read the mask information, not the source database, the replica. Okay, so not all information needs to be, not all information needs to be accessible by the bot. In this instance, what we only interested in is the participant's ID, because they're guessing number of blocks within the Lego, with a number of Lego blocks within the jar, and what's their count. The rest is not important to the bot. Right. This is an example of row-level security policy set for Azure Synapse dedicated pool. So first thing you create a function. You have your own permission matrix, i.e. who can see what data in what table. And then you set it up. So in this here, we say where group name is DB admin, which means if you're a database admin, you have full rights. Otherwise, it's based on your username, right? And then you turn it on. This one here is RBAC with RLS. We revoke the permission during database maintenance. What do I mean? When you do a full load, sometimes if the replication fails, you need to do a full load for the entire database, as an example. Oftentimes, you have two options we are going later afterwards. Is if you drop the table or truncate it, more often than not, you lose the security policy as well. So what we normally do then is, before we drop the table, we remove access for everyone. Just in case, as you create a database, it starts replicating. Whilst it's replicating, everyone can see all data. So we need to remove revoke the read permission temporarily. Right. So that's an example there. Oops. Most tools in the marketplace, you got two ways of full data reload. You drop the table, recreate the table, or you truncate the table. It means you delete the data and then you repopulate. So I'm just giving some examples here. You've got cloud databases and you've got traditional database. When you're using databases like Azure Synapse, if you have a security policy tagged against the table, your drop table command will fail, because it will say there is a security policy bound to the table. So you will log on to Qlik replicate, you will say, I want a full load, it will fail. Okay. So what we normally do then, we'll revoke the user access to the database, delete the RLS policies, and then rebuild the target, and then rebuild the policy again. We shouldn't do it manually. We can use scripting or Tendency to the cloud or whatever tool that you got to execute the scripts. Now with Postgres, it's a different beast altogether. When you delete the table, it will drop the table, because Postgres will automatically delete the security policy for you as well. Right. Now the good thing about Postgres is it has what we call the create table event triggers. When a table is created, create the policy. Right. So now there's significant database manipulation there. You got to make sure everything is well maintained as well. It doesn't drop the table, it deletes the records. It may or may not work if you have changes made to the database. You add a new column, remove a column. We call it DDL, data definition language. And same thing here. You need to sort out the issues that comes with it. This is an example of Azure Synapse not dropping the table, unable to drop the table. It says here, because it is being referenced by object security policy project current. Okay. I've left some notes down here. Azure Synapse dedicated pool does not allow the deletion of a table if it has a security policy. In contrast, Postgres deletes both the table and security policy. Right? And some databases like Microsoft SQL, you can unbound the security policy, delete the table, and rebind. Okay. Now, if you do not rebind, there's a chance you have too many orphan policies. So policies without a table attached to it, right? It becomes a management nightmare from a database administrator perspective. This is an example of us using Talent Studio to manage row-level security. Some can call it a pipeline. It's not really a full-blown pipeline. You can see down here, alter table, replace competition, disable row-level security. You just build the pipeline. So you can go Talent Studio to remove all the security policy, load in Qlik replicate. When it's done, come back, apply the security policy. And because it's a pipeline, you can tell if anything failed, right? As opposed to a script that only a technical person can read, as an example. Right? Now going into a little bit more detail in terms of row-level security and data security. The row-level security is implemented at the database level. Right? So you got actual, they call it Microsoft Infra ID now, or Azure ID. So when they log on, they know who you are, you're using your credentials. The data return will be based on your permission. With Qlik, you can do it at the application level, section access. So you build the data models with the full data set within the app, and then you apply section access. So when you log on to Qlik, you can only see WA data or Queensland's data. Okay, so that's at the application level. Now, you can do both at the same time. Corporate-wide dashboard, section access. And John might go, oh, I don't like the corporate dashboard. I want to build my own. Yeah, sure. You can use your credentials to log on to the warehouse because we know who you are. The data is filtered, right? This is just an example of a data pipeline from, I think, QCDI, they call it back in the day. So this is part of the Qlik side of things. The same is to do with Talent Fabric, Talent Mesh. It's pretty much the same concept. So from source, data capture, to replicating, you build the data model. Obviously, it's broken. And then you build the data mart from there. Okay. Now, that is an example of a data mart. Probably can't see it. You have the fact table in the middle and then the dimensions around it. So what it means, when I, as a user, connect to a data mart, I don't have to build the model. It's all done for me. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? I'm trying to rush through 10 minutes. Did I do it on time or?
Thank you. You've done well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks for keeping us on time. Right. Who's next? I think Craig Harper is the next presenter. Let me share my screen now. Can you see? Yeah, they should be able to see it. And I'll just start your presentation. Up. Yeah, should be fine now.
Okay, good. Hello, I'm Craig Harper, work at Western Power. Been using Qlik now for 7 years. And one of the tasks that I've had over that time is to try and upskill the people who come into the organisation to use Qlik. And I thought I'd share what we do at Western Power so that you have some idea of how to onboard people who are coming into your organisation. Okay. Okay. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? We have many new people come into the organisation every year, and or people who change roles, and now they are using Qlik as part of their normal everyday job. Only thing is, they have never heard of Qlik. They don't know it, or if they have heard about it, they don't have much exposure. So they might have heard on the grapevine, oh yeah, Western Power uses this thing called Qlik. Don't know much about it. So what we want to be able to do is to get them up to speed with Qlik as soon as possible, without costing a small fortune. So I'm sure there's been people in this room who've been on the Qlik vendor training. We've got a bunch of people going through starting next week. They're doing that training over 5 full days, which is quite a lot of time to take people out of the organisation, and it's getting reasonably pricey. Their users. Yes. Okay, for the data modeling, there would be some developers in there. Yeah. So what do end users, new end users, need to know about Qlik? Well, first of all, what is Qlik? Again, a lot of people wouldn't have heard about it. So we need some sort of explanation of what it is and, what is a business intelligence tool. The basics of using Qlik app. So, how do you navigate your way around? How do you even start Qlik? What is an app? Once you get there, you might want your end users to actually start to duplicate sheets and create their own tables, create their own charts. So they need to have some idea of how to build an app. And when they've got to that stage, they really do need to know something about set analysis, because if they are duplicating an app and looking at charts, they'll probably look at the expression, they'll see this thing with set analysis and they go, wow, what's that? I don't want to know. Yes, you do. So we put together what I call the Qlik 101 course. And it's got an introduction to Qlik, which is just a 30-minute session to say, this is what it is, this is what it does, this is why we have it. We then have a hands-on workshop, and that goes for 1.5 hours. And that does that first part of bringing you up to speed with just how to use an app. We also then have part 2, another 1.5 hour session, which typically is done a week later, which is around building an app. So how to use chart objects, how to drag and drop onto the canvas and link things together. Another session, again, a week later, is done with set analysis. And we go through the basics of what set analysis is and how to understand what a set analysis expression looks like. Now, those hands-on workshops and the set analysis were stolen shamelessly from our Qlik vendor. You might remember Steve Street and Chris Cameron, those of us who've been around a while. They had those documents that we were able to use those in the very early stages of our training at Western Power. I've since sort of taken that on and kept them up to date and modified them. But a big thank you to Steve and Chris for the work that they did up front. So welcome to Qlik. What's that all about? A lot of people don't know what a business intelligence tool is, let alone what Qlik is. So you need to explain, that this is what it's for. And also, what does good look like? And this is sort of the vision statement, if you like, of what we're trying to do with Qlik. It's also important to explain the difference that there's Qlik Sense and Qlik View. There are similarities, but there are differences, especially when I encourage people to Google. If you've got a problem, put it into Google. It's already been asked and answered. But I always say to people, put Qlik Sense, then whatever it is you're looking for, and explain the difference between the two. Give a demonstration of a Qlik app. And for some people, that's the first time they've ever seen one. And very briefly say, okay, there's this thing called the script coding language. Just flash it up on the screen so we don't scare them too much. And saying behind the curtain, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can be done with this code. And most importantly, emphasize that the Qlik apps have a copy of the data loaded into them. And so over time, that data will get stale. And so we need to have this schedule read load so that the data is refreshed on a regular basis. Talk a little bit about security and what support we have. Most importantly, I emphasize this, that Qlik's not rocket science, but hey, it's not trivial either. The reason why that's important is you cannot, in my opinion, give a sophisticated app to end users who've never seen Qlik and expect them to use it very well. They'll get frustrated and they'll say, oh, this Qlik thing's bloody useless. Why were you using it? You must assume that if people are going to be using an app, you have to give them at least the basic training so they know how to navigate, they know how to interact with chart objects, they know how to do the filtering. And that's what we cover in the first part of the hands-on workshop. We actually have an app that is a screenshot. We go through the basics of navigation, filtering, interacting with chart objects. We go and look at smart searching and selections tool, and using things like tables and pivot tables, which are a lot of the apps that we have use those types of chart objects. Touch on using bookmarks, and then we have a quick quiz, which is a bunch of questions, and you have to go and try and find the answers using the app with the techniques and approaches that we've just shown you. Part 2, it's all about having step-by-step instructions of how to drag and drop things onto the canvas, arrange the properties to make them look and feel the way that we want them to look and feel. And as you can see from the screen grab, they are very detailed instructions. At the end of that, you build the same dashboard that you used in the first part. So there is sort of incestuous relationship between those two. The idea is, though, that in 90 minutes, you're not going to get to the end. So you will complete that in your own time just by following the instructions. So we sort of put you on the road, show you how to walk down the road. Well, it's then up to you to keep walking. The next one, using set analysis. Now, some in the room might say, well, why do you want to teach set analysis to end users? Good question, because it is the syntax is quite challenging at times. But the reason that I think it's important is because we want people to be able to look at an existing chart object which has got set analysis and be able to understand what it does. And they might not have been able to write it from scratch, but at least by being able to read it and say, oh, okay, I can see and understand what the chart object is doing. But now also with the ability to set a filter, and when you go into the expression editor, tick on the box to say import the set analysis, it actually builds that set analysis for you. The task of writing the set analysis has been a lot simplified. We then have a practice with the template app and actually build a whole bunch of KPIs using a bunch of questions that we have. You know, try and build this KPI and we'll apply this set analysis. So the usage, the training materials have been kept up to date. We're actually going through an upgrade right now. So I will, yes, Sergey. We do actually do upgrades, which means I have to go back over that documentation and keep it up to date. So there is a bit of a maintenance overhead. Over this period of time, the hands-on workshop, I've done that training to roughly 300 people. The set analysis, a bit less, 50 people. The feedback has been positive, though everyone says that the set analysis is hard, which is not surprising. So we have this Word document that gives us this detailed step-by-step instructions on how to do part 1 and part 2 of the hands-on workshop. We have a detailed training PowerPoint presentation for the set analysis, and I put together my own little welcome to Qlik PowerPoint presentation. It's a really concise way of getting your people up to speed quickly. And if you're interested in seeing how it goes and getting a copy of that, just let me know. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that you are doing upgrade again. It looks like we will have soon again presentation how we've done upgrade, huh? We had two, so that would be third one, I think, but that's okay. Let's fire up another presentation for Eleonora. So Eleonora, it's over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
10 minutes.
Yes.
That's right. Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I would like to share my experience in regards to first 5 months working with Qlik. So it will be hopefully quick because I have only 6 slides to present. Okay, my name is Eleonora. I'm a graduate BI developer at Qurious Solutions. So my current experience with Qlik is only 5 months, and previously I was worked as a sales support representative in construction and oil and gas companies. So this is the QR code to my LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to connect. And in regards to my previous experience with the BI tools and Qlik in particular, so it's like it was really limited. During my education, I used to use BI tools except Qlik for data visualization only. So the task was to present insights of analysis in user-friendly and like fancy manner for non-technical stakeholders, basically to create a dashboard or storytelling. On my previous job, Qlik was implemented as a main BI tool, but it was utilized in our subdivision mainly for data absorbing. So what does it mean? You can like select dimensions, measures, filter data, and have it in tabular form and then download it and use whatever you want. So quite limited options. So to sum up, my past experience with BI tools was like the top of the iceberg. And now, after my 5 months with Qlik, just want to share my thought about 4 areas. So the interface. I cannot say that interface is pretty user-friendly in Qlik, and it took me some time to get used to how everything connects and works. And actually, sometimes I'm still confused, for example, in which field to apply color coding or something like that. Yeah, but interface is also updated every time. So, but it's not a big deal if you work with it every day. So you just need to get used to. What's really impressive is the interactive and dynamic dashboards that could be created in Qlik. So yeah, you can start from the top level, then drill down to a smaller part, particular taking, for example, a small time period or even time frame. So then analyze your small piece of data in just one click. The other thing is a high speed of complex calculations and data loading. As for scripting, so it's not too it was not so scary to me because I have some experience with Python, R, and SQL. So it's just you need to get used to functions and how it works. And so actually, I found very handy to search some information on Qlik community website. And then if I like find something, you can check it through the help web page. So just to read more about the function. So this is very useful for starters. And what lessons I learned? This will not be particular something outstanding, and it's mostly related to like any project overall. But anyway, the key feature is to understand the question. So it means you need to know what the end user needs, and it requires not only the understanding of raw data, but also what are the key metrics, how data is connected, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is like the milestone that graduate BI developer should know. The second one is a problem decomposition. So this approach can save lots of time, especially when you're trying to find a problem in your data. It's better to take a small part, a small piece, analyze it, and then incorporate in the main script. I personally did a couple of times. I'm trying to implement the small changes in the whole application and then completely destroyed it. Yeah, so this lesson is in my top 3, which I should know. The other one is the master measurement variables. They are really important to use master measurement variables to save time, because like amending only one piece of code, you just apply all the changes to the whole application. No need to find everything else in your application, or just avoid errors. And the next one is keep it structured. So what does it mean? So having a consistency and established form of working interface, it means extracting, for example, dividing extraction, development, and transforming parts really helps to save time in terms of amending or implementing something new. So, and also it's a good approach for teams, because if everyone do the thing on the same way, so it's just, you don't need to ask where I can find this and that. You just know that in this section, you extract your data, in this section, you transform your data, and etc. And finally, what's next? So I identified on my future, I don't know how many months, data modeling. It's definitely the key thing that needs to be improved, because knowing how data is associated, knowing how we can implement something, or just imagine if you incorporate something, that will it affect your current model or not, that this is the key thing that I need to know. The next one is performance optimization. It means to write clear scripts, to be more familiar with functions and tools that could be used for data transformation. And the last one is machine learning and predictive analytics. This is like in my zone of interest as well. So just want to deep closer to this kind of stuff, and then implement in the project probably. So thank you.
Good. We finished early. Never happened before. That's something outstanding. So in this instance, I'll take this time, huh? I forgot to say my name. I'm Sergey Makushynski from Qurious Solutions. Yes, I had to say it in the very beginning, but I thought everybody knows me. So I'll start from this one. That was the last meeting of this year, and I hope we will continue next year with probably not Thursday but Wednesdays. However, committee have to approve it. That's my idea. So, but yeah, I believe we will have 4 more meetings next year, and maybe a year after and year after. And if you have anything to present, please raise your hand. We are always welcoming new people coming and presenting, especially having in mind that people with talent experience, basically talent experience joining us, it makes sense to bring it also to the table, because at the moment we are more focused on Qlik analytics, a bit of integration, but not really talent. So that's why it would be good to see some demonstrations, presentations from that side. Just raise a hand and reach out to me. So these are our committee members. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. We are happy to help. And what I wanted to add, I would say that this year our group probably went to another level. If before we were like I don't know, sometimes 10, 15 people coming together in one room in Victoria Park Hotel. That was our very homely and very comfortable place. However, we moved to the city, and I believe this also brought more people in. Thanks for coming. So I think now we can just finish and continue. We finish with the presentation and continue outside, just outside here with food and drinks. I hope it's all ready. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Please come again.